Well, let's touch on the grand final real quickly. Man, I'm still blown away by that game. I'm blown away by your game. I don't know. I got a bit of a core memory from that FaceTime we shared. I think it was the day after. Man, like just the look on your face. Just man, I could feel the emotion coming through the phone. Have you had a chance to reflect on that game by any chance?
Oh, bro, like I've tried to reflect on it, but honestly, like still now it still doesn't really feel real.
Yeah.
And I've talked to it with a few of the boys, and they've shared similar feelings. Like that sort of last bit of the game, it just felt like I was just sort of almost like autopilot. Like it felt like I was in a movie, and then it wasn't until like I looked up and we were like just after we scored that final try and we were actually in front. I was like, holy shit! Like we're actually a chance to win this. Like it just was so crazy, and trying to reflect on it, it's hard. Like I've watched it a couple of times, but I think it's something that later down the track at the end of my career I can look back on and be proud of. But now it's just trying to move forward, keep trying to improve and recreate those memories, make some more. But yeah, it was a great experience.
Do you find it hard to reflect on like your past, triumphants? And like I spoke to Crit on it long ago, and he said the same thing because it's just a daily grind. You're always thinking about what's next, and you're trying to stay in the moment. Do you find it difficult to actually reflect?
Yeah, I do. And for me, like one of my biggest mantras is staying present and attacking each day as a new one as it comes. I'm very happy to create those memories and very proud of them. But I'm constantly looking forward. I don't want to look too far back or be stuck in the past. I want to keep trying to get better and keep trying to make more moments like that. And as I said, I think once the career's all wrapped up, I can look back and share some really fond memories with some of my best mates and be really proud of that. But for now, it's just it's just continuing the journey and keep going.
Well, I think that's one of your greatest strengths, like being present. It's a very hard trait to have and very unique trait to have. I think that game kind of epitomised that, especially when it was 57 minutes gone. You're trailing by 18 points. Like, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, it was interesting. I think like in the past, I've not dealt with those moments the best, particularly when I've not been having my best game, because that first 15 minutes of the second half was probably the worst 15 minutes of the season, definitely for me. Like just it's kind of with errors and missed tackles, and but to be honest, like it's the most I've ever felt in control of my mind.
Wow.
So it's a really cool thing to reflect on. Like that's probably the thing I reflected on most, rather than the actual game, was just how far I've come in that sort of space. And we do a lot of work on it, and it really just paid off on the biggest stage. And I think when you're under the most pressure is when you're not playing your best, and that's the hardest to be sort of in control. But part of me was just sort of all right, well that's happened, it's done. Like don't hold on to that too long, which in the past I have done.
We all do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's human nature, but I just had a real focus on what was next, and just trying to attack it. And I think the whole team around us had the same mentality, and that was the only way we were going to give ourselves a chance, is sort of forget what's happened and keep moving forward and attack that next job.
Is there a specific thing to bring you back to the moment and kind of just push everything to the side? Like I think there's one player that stands out is James Maloney. Man, that guy throws a forward pass, kicks out on the full, and it's like nothing's affected that guy. And was he a bit of a mentor for yourself? But would you take that kind of into that game?
Yeah, in terms of that, like me and Jimmy, personality-wise, probably the complete opposite. Complete opposite. But I could learn that from him. I think I specifically remember him saying, he's like, I could do 2 things wrong, but I know the next 8 are going to be good things. So that was a cool thing, and just being able to move on, and that is kind of the mindset you have to have. Although I don't want to make mistakes. They're just things that are going to happen, and I think one thing that I constantly tell myself, even through the game, is you can't change what's happened, but you can control the next play, and that's the sort of thing that I relay in my head, and I did that in the grand final, and was constantly talking to myself throughout that sort of last 20-minute period. And yeah, it was a cool feeling to have.
It's a good lesson because you're never perfect, right? My early stages in my career, I just kind of struggled with that because I always wanted to go out there and have the perfect game, and if I did, drop the ball or I wasn't in the right position, like I kind of get real dirty at myself because you want to go out there and obviously have a 10 out of 10 game, but that was a very valuable lesson.
Yeah.
The last 3 premierships, how does this rank amongst the 3? The last one.
I've been asked that question a couple of times, and it's pretty crazy because all of them are so different. Like the first one we were like battered and bruised. Like there was players out there that if it was a regular season game, like they wouldn't have been playing. There would have been like 6 or 7 like that. So we sort of limped into that, and then we were just holding on. Critter came out with a massive play. Then even at the end, like we were just out on our feet. They were sort of carving us up, but we just kept turning up. The second year we were, you know, it was probably one of the best games we've played as a group, particularly the first like 60 minutes. Quite
Complete
dominant
control.
and sort of, had it wrapped up early. And then obviously this one had to come from behind and, really rally. So I don't know, man. I can't pick my favourite. You know, there's moments in each one, but it was definitely special.
Do you find there was a lot of similarities to that 2020 grand final to the previous one?
Yeah, it was.
Like watching that, that's what it felt like.
Looking back on it, it was very similar, and you know we learned a lot of lessons from that 2020 grand final. And for myself, like in particular, like if that 2020 grand final didn't happen, there's no way I would be the player that I am today, just mentally. That 2020 grand final taught me so much about not living in the past and not worrying about past mistakes, because before you know it, the game it's away from you because you're so worried about what's happening and sort of like paralysed. And you know, I had that same feeling in the 2023 grand final, but my mind was completely different. So.